All right, it is time for an update on the garden and take a quick tour through the garden. Today I've got a few things I want to show you as we tour through the garden, but I also want to show you how we harvested some hardneck garlic. Also, I'm going to show you how I braid that garlic, and then we're going to test harvest some potatoes out of our 5-gallon buckets. I think they're ready, so I want to show you what that looks like. And then lastly, I'm going to show you how we are pulling out our sugar snap peas, harvesting the rest of our carrots, and then we're going to plant peanuts. I'm so excited because this was one of my goals, started way back in January. Wanted to plant peanuts. And so this bed that has the sugar snap peas and carrots in it was ultimately destined to have these peanuts in it. And so we're going to be planting those today. So let's go take a look at the garden. So we've been getting a lot of rain this past week, which has been great. I haven't had to hardly water at all, but and it has made things grow. Rain is just so much better for the garden than the water hose. So if you can explain why that is, I think they say that there's nitrogen in the rainwater that comes through the atmosphere, but it definitely makes everything grow well. These are candy, North Georgia candy roaster winter squash. Man, they are amazing. They are just growing like crazy, and we're gonna have a ton of these things. So I've never had them before, never tasted them before. I hope I like them. But you can see these little banana looking things that are growing are to make pumpkin pie or pumpkin bread or anything like that. Hey, small cat. Yeah, buddy. So these are growing great. Watermelons and the beans are going really good too. Had some problems with Japanese beetles, so I've been just picking them off of the plants and putting them in a jug of water. These potatoes, you can see they're dying back, and I think they're ready to harvest. So we're going to dump a few buckets out and see what we find inside that, and I'll show you that in just a little bit. But be planting, I've got sweet potatoes planted in here, but I'm going to plant some more, and I'll show you that hopefully in a future video. But that is the hay bale garden. The sunflowers and all have been doing great. I've planted some more sunflowers and some marigolds there. They're just brand new, so they're going to be going. But look at this one. Look at this one. Isn't that pretty? I think these potatoes are about ready to harvest. You can tell by how they are so wilted and look like they're dying. So let's test a few buckets and see how they look. It's a small one. These must be the purple ones.
Mm-hmm. I saw some bigger ones when you were dumping it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of roots.
Not some small potatoes. Oh, that one looks bad.
Looks bad, yeah.
That one's nice.
I think there's some more big ones down
Oh
in
yeah,
there.
they're on the side.
It looks like tumors.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what they start off as, like that. And get bigger.
Look. Scary. Oh, there's one.
Well, I thought it'd be easier to dump it in this bucket. It probably would have been better to do it on a tarp.
Mm-hmm. Now you gotta dig again.
Yeah. Don't want to miss any. All hiding in there.
And they're dark too.
Yeah. Angela was telling me that, you know, her parents were farmers,
Mm-hmm.
and they used to have the big potatoes, and she said she hated it.
Why?
Probably because she didn't want to do it. But she had to, and it was dirty, and it was hot. It's funny how anything can be work, or anything can be fun. It's all in how you look
Yeah.
at it.
There's one's right there. That one's a big one.
Yeah.
And there's another one right next to it.
These were grown in the potting soil.
Yeah, it looks pretty dry.
Yeah. I hadn't been watering them because
Ooh.
it got something bad on it.
No, it's just so purple.
Oh yeah.
So that's pretty good, right?
Yeah. From
Oh,
another bucket potato. Gotta run that blue.
that was a loud thump.
Yes, a lot heavier soil. But it's still got big potatoes on it. That's the seed potato that I planted in there. This one's probably planted a week earlier, I think.
Those birds don't like you in the woods, small cat.
They might have a nest in there.
It breaks apart easier in potting soil.
Yeah. They had more potatoes too, I think.
No.
That's what I'm saying, in the potting soil.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. The
Yeah.
potting soil had more potatoes.
Soil had more potatoes, at least in that bucket. Scraped it with my fingernail.
At all?
I think so.
it's just dirty.
Show you how I'm gonna braid these. Now, I've never grown garlic before until this year. And I grew soft neck garlic and I was able to braid it. This is hard neck garlic. And I saw in a video they said that you can't braid hard neck garlic, but I think you can. And so that's what I'm gonna do, because it just sort of helps keep it bundled together and makes it easier to manage. So the way I'm gonna do it is I'm just gonna take, I use what I got. So I'm gonna take one of these leaves and just break it off. And you could use some twine, which would probably be better. But I don't feel like walking all the way out to the closet where I have that. So I'm just going to use one of the leaves that's on here. Now, it's a leaf, so you got to be a little gentle with it or it'll break. But all you need is just a little something to sort of hold it together, and this will work just fine, I think. So we'll do that. And I've had to braid. I'm not an expert braider. I don't know how to do all the fancy stuff, but I have 2 daughters. And so I've had to braid their hair or one of their baby dolls' hairs before. So I'm just gonna put 3 strands together. A bottom one is gonna go into the middle. And then this one's gonna go over that. And then this one's gonna go over that. And you just kind of keep doing that. Very similar to how you would braid some hair with a simple braid. Nothing fancy. Nothing fancy. It just has to keep it together so that you can hang it up, and it gets a little easier as you get down a line and you get to this smaller and smaller leaves. It becomes more and more like hair and less like a stem. So once I get to a certain point, the way I'm going to do it, because again, I don't have any twine. Or I have some, but I don't want to go get it. I'm lazy. So I'm going to just take one of these leaves and I'm just going to wrap it around. And I'm going to tuck one of those through there like that. Again, I'm going to be kind of gentle because I don't want it to break. But that's good enough to hold it together. And now we have a braided cluster of garlic. So this is my experiment with using bags, hanging bags, to grow vegetables. I started out with these plastic shopping bags. They're hanging on a pole, and I planted inside them some Jackson bush lima beans, crookneck squash, and some more lima beans. And in this one I decided because I was thinking, well, I don't think the plastic is going to hold up. The UV rays from the sunlight are going to cause those back, I think, or at least initially thought it's going to degrade those bags and they're going to break. There's a lot of weight hanging on those handles. But so far, they're holding up. But I thought, you know, let's try something a little sturdier. So I used these old reusable shopping bags that my wife gave me. Planted inside this one a sugar baby bush watermelon. And in this one, planted patty pan squash. And I thought, well, those should hold up better. Well, so far, all of them are holding up pretty well, and the plants are growing in them just fine. And this one don't have any fruit yet. This one, interestingly, has these tiny baby little crookneck squash, which I think are really cute. They're about the size of my finger, but and then of course the watermelon doesn't have any watermelons on it yet, but it is vining out pretty nicely, and it's getting, looks like it might be getting a flower forming on it there. So, you know, oh, and there's a flower. Look, can you see it? There's a watermelon flower, which would be fertilized and eventually turn into watermelon. So we'll see. It's an experiment. You try things, you learn. And it's also being watched over by the chickens. Tomato plants are doing good, growing nice and tall, getting flowers on them, and some of them even have some tomatoes on them. Trying to see what this one was. I think it's a Cherokee purple tomato, and I've got basil growing at the bottom. Here I'm getting cucumbers off of my cucumber plant. There's a couple there, can you see them, that are not quite ready to pick, but they probably will be in the morning or tomorrow evening. I've been picking lettuce, crookneck squash, some zucchini, this is a little tiny lemon cucumber plant, but it's not really, it kind of looks like it's almost like it's stunted. Peppers and lettuce. This lettuce I cut down to a stump and it grew back, and I just harvested it up again. Look at those marigolds, aren't those pretty? Those onions will be ready to harvest soon. I'm supposed to wait until they fall over, so just kind of waiting for that to happen. But you can see right there, I already have an onion there that could be probably picked just like it is, but I'm gonna see if they don't get a little bit bigger, because they're supposed to fall over, and then that's the cue that you need to harvest them. Look at this Cherokee purple tomato plant, and can you see I have tomatoes on there, all of them. So I'm getting tomatoes, and that's awesome. Should have some tomatoes. Some will be too long. So in the garden, I'm always having scraps, things that I'm, rotten, leaves that are bad or rotten, or leftovers from the harvest. What am I gonna do with that stuff? Well, What you think, Winston? What you think, buddy? And I've been getting a ton of sugar snap peas off of my sugar snap pea vines. They're very productive. These are some small baby ones that they'll grow and fill out. But look, I picked it just a minute ago, so there's not a lot left on it. But there's one. You can see how, isn't that awesome? And these things are delicious. I pick them off, straight off of the vine, and just eat them straight off the vine. They're sweet, crunchy, juicy. They're great. I've been getting so many that I've been cutting them up and freezing them to use for stir fries later. They're starting to look a little, you can see they're starting to look a little shaggy, a little raggedy, and that's okay. I'm expecting that it's getting really hot, so they won't last much longer, and that's okay, because I'm going to pull all of those out of there and plant this raised bed with peanuts. That was the ultimate goal for this bed. The sugar snap peas and the carrots that I grew in here were just companion plant to kind of use the space until I could plant the peanuts. But also in here I had carrots growing, and I've harvested almost all the carrots, but there's still a few in here. I'll try to pull one up, but I don't know if there's any. Some of the ones that were left were just kind of small, but we can check it and see. Yeah, that's a small one, but I gotten a lot of bigger ones already, so I just kind of thought, well, I'll leave these small ones in here and see if they grow any more. I'm just looking to see if there's any that's in here that might be bigger, that could kind of give you a sense for some of the carrots that I grew in there. I think that's one. It's not humongous, but decent size. But you see how that has that tail taproot. These things keep growing. They grow all the way down that taproot, and we'll get to the end and be as big around as it is up here at the beginning. So, but I grew 3 varieties of carrots. If I can remember, I'll try to list what those varieties were. But 2 of them were regular orange type carrots, and one of them was a black nebula, which is a really dark purple carrot. And that's kind of an interesting thing. Don't think I'd grow it again. The taste was okay, but it wasn't exceptional, and they just didn't do as good as the regular carrots. But it was fun to grow anyway, and kind of a novelty thing to be able to see, hey, look, here's a interesting looking carrot. I planted my peanuts, and I've got two different varieties. I planted them about 7 inches apart and spaced my rows about 7 inches apart, but I offset them to give them a little more space in between. And I'm going to push them into the soil 2 to 3 inches. Now you'll notice I planted them two beside each other because my understanding is that the germination on peanuts is very poor, and I can understand maybe why, because they say you're not supposed to take those the outer husk off of it, you know, the little paper skin, and also if they split in two they won't germinate, so you have to plant a whole peanut. But of course peanuts seem to come apart really easy. Like there's a leftover sugar snap pea, but they come apart really easy and the skins come off of them really easy. So I'm thinking, well, that's gonna probably hurt. Here's two that I planted anyway. They don't have the skin on them, but I planted them anyway. We'll see if they come up. I mean to mark those just as an experiment, see if they actually come up. But I planted them two each. Hopefully one of them, at least one of them, will come up. Except for down here at the end, I ran out of peanuts, so I just kind of finished the row out with one. So we'll see how it works. But I'm going to go through and use my pencil, which I have measured to see how many of these sections I need to go in. I'm going to plant it 2 to 3 inches, which is going to be right about there. So I will use this to just go back and kind of push them in 2 to 3 inches. And then we'll go back through and we'll just cover it all up with soil. All the peanuts are planted, and I marked the one experimental one that had lost its skin. I want to see what happens if it actually comes up or not. I'll come back and put a flag there just so I'll know that was the one that didn't have skin on it. All the peanuts are planted now, and we'll just have to wait and see. It takes 120 to 150 days for peanuts to come to maturity. So first time I've ever planted peanuts. Well, not really. I actually planted a peanut last year because we as we were getting some mulch, or as we were getting some compost out of the compost pile, I found a peanut plant that had voluntarily sprouted, probably from some old peanuts or something that we threw in the compost pile. And so we planted it, and with the one peanut plant that we planted, we got about 10 peanut pods off of it. So that's what made me decide I wanted to plant peanuts, because we really like peanuts, especially boiled peanuts. So and boiled peanuts, you can boil them and you can freeze them and they'll keep pretty good. So that's what we're gonna do. Hopefully we'll get lots of peanuts from our peanut bed. We've already gotten lots of carrots and lots of sugar snap peas from it. So and we had radish also. So this bed has been tremendously productive, and it's all came from free material, free pallets that I found off of Facebook Marketplace that were just given away, and I just broke them apart, put them back together, and built this raised bed out of it. Then the soil, I did have to buy the soil, but it's got chicken manure compost in it from our chicken coop, and it's been very productive already. It's about to start to rain, so I hope I can talk about this before I get rained on. I was talking to my secretary at my church, and she grew up, her parents were farmers, so she grew up on a farm. And she was talking about how they used to dig potatoes, and she hated it. As a child, her parents made her get out there and dig the potatoes with her, and she really didn't like it. And you know, gardening is a big hobby for people. Something that they do for fun. But if you grew up on a farm, or if you're a farmer, probably you don't like to do that. Maybe it's more like work for you. and isn't that the way it goes? Oh, it's thundering, you hear that? But you know, in the beginning, the Bible tells us in Genesis that God created Adam and Eve, and he placed them in the garden and gave them work to do. And work was never meant to be a burden or something that we didn't like to do. Being able to work is actually a blessing. But anything that you do day in and day out, because we live in a broken, sinful world, work isn't fun for us anymore. And anything that you have to do day in and day out as your job, it can become work, and you don't want to do it. So that's why, you know, some people who garden for a living, it's work for them. And then others like me do it for fun and do it as a pastime. But you can think about that for anything in life. How about, you know, you think about it. Some people like to go whitewater rafting on a weekend for fun. Maybe they pay a tour guide to take them down the river on the raft. You're there as an entertainment for fun, but the guy that's leading the tour, he's doing it for work. So, you know, you're there for fun, he's there working. And what does he do? What does he do for fun on his day off when he doesn't want to work? You know, we all have to deal with that. But the best thing in the world is to be able to find what God has, the purpose that God has given you in life. If you can find that purpose and do that for a living, if you're able to, if you're blessed enough to be able to do that, then it makes work a lot more easy, because you like what you do. You feel like you're serving a purpose. Whatever you do it. Just remember, whatever you do for fun, somebody out there, for them, it's work. Whatever you do for work, there's probably someone out there who might think that it's fun. It's all about the attitude that you have in your heart. So, thanks for joining me today. Take a look at the garden with me. Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel, and keep following the videos all summer long as I'm showing you how everything's going in the garden. And I appreciate you being here. I hope you had fun too. We'll see you again soon. God bless.